So now, the last session before lunch, and it's going to be a ripper, is two very special women from the OSP who are prepared to put their skills on the line with a bit of a practice role play. I'm just going to introduce Miranda first of all. Miranda is going to play a mother the morning after her 4-year-old son was taken by us. The point of this, we're condensing an hour and a half, 2-hour meeting perhaps into 15 minutes here, so bear with us as a learning exercise. The point of this conversation is about sticking with people early on. The message we really want you to take from today is good restoration work happens at the point of removal. Keeping hope, as our wonderful women talked about right from the beginning. So Sue Buchanan will do the interview the morning after.
Hi Emma. Look, first of all, I'd just really like to thank you for agreeing to talk to me today. I understand last night must have been really tough for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was a really tough night, and it's obviously really important for you to talk to me about Joel and to think about, getting him home again. I guess, first of all, I'd like you to know that my job is about working out ways to get Joel back home again. But the first thing that I really need to do is for you to help me understand what happened last night when Joel was left at home alone.
Well, it wasn't my fault. We were on our way home. We didn't think that we were going to be gone that long, and we're on our way home and we got pulled over and the cops carted me off to the hospital.
Uh-huh. I'm aware that you and Ray were pulled over and that the police, that Ray had been drinking a lot. He was fairly, he'd had a lot to drink. And the police were worried enough about you to take you to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. They didn't need to be worried.
Okay. There's a few people that are worried about you. When you went to the hospital, the nurses were worried because they said it looked as though you'd had a fair bit to drink. You weren't really sure what was going on.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Okay.
I wasn't even that drunk.
And they were also worried because there were a lot of red marks. There were quite a few red marks around your face and your neck. So they were worried that you'd been assaulted. Another person that's really worried about you is Sharon. I understand that.
Sharon's the one that called the cops.
Yeah.
If Sharon was worried about me, she wouldn't have called the cops. Joel wouldn't have been taken from me.
You're really let down by her. You just can't believe she did that.
Yeah, no shit.
Okay. Sharon is really worried about you, and she talked about being a close friend, and which I guess makes me wonder, like, if she thinks so much of you, what she must have been worried about to call the police, for her to call the police. What must have been going on for her to call the police?
Don't know.
Okay. Is it okay if I share more with you about what Sharon said to us?
Go on.
Okay. Sharon talked about, she said that when you left Joel at home, you just asked her to call in and check on him, and that she was expecting that you'd be home in a couple of hours.
Yeah, I told you I was going to come home. It's not my fault.
So Sharon was really worried when you didn't, and she couldn't contact you. So she said that she's also worried about Ray hurting you, and that she knows that Ray's hurt you before. So she was worried that you might have been hurt somewhere and couldn't get in touch with anyone. The other person who's really worried about you and who cares about you a lot is your mum.
Oh, what's she been saying?
Your mum's worried that she's noticed you drinking a lot more, and she's noticed bruising, and she worries that you sort of shrug that off as falling over. She's also noticed that Joel's not as happy, that he gets a bit sad. And
That's not true.
Okay. There seem to be a lot of people who care about you and worry about you.
They don't need to worry. I'm home now. I just want Joel back with me.
Yeah. Joel is really important to you.
Yeah, of course he is.
And you're really important to him.
Yep.
I'd like to talk to you about what Joel said to us last night.
Righto.
When he woke up and discovered you weren't there, he wanted to know where you were. He wanted to know where Mum was.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing he wanted to know was whether Dad had hurt Mum again. I wonder what it's like for you to hear that.
Feels like shit.
Yeah. It's really hard to hear that Joel's so worried about you. I'm wondering what stopped you taking Joel with you last night, Emma?
Ray and I had had a couple of drinks. We weren't drunk. But if Ray even just has one beer, like, he drives like a dickhead. We had to go to my mate's place to pick up some stuff, and so Ray wanted me to come with him, and he drives like a hoon when he's had a beer. So I left Joel at home. I figured we wouldn't be long, and just asked Sharon to check in on him, you know.
Okay. So you left Joel at home to keep him safe from Ray?
Yeah, I guess so.
But you still went. You still went, and I wonder what stopped you from staying at home.
I don't know. Like I said, it was my mate's place that we had to go to. So Ray really wanted me to go with him. And when he has something in his head, you know, he carries on, you know. So it was just, it's easy for me to just go with him if he's carrying on. So, yeah, I went with him.
Okay. So you went with Ray to stop him carrying on?
Yeah, I guess so.
Tell me about the last time Ray carried on. Help me to understand what that looks like. What happened?
Carried on last night. It was my friend's Sal's place that we were at, and I can't remember what he said. He was a real prick to her though. He was carrying on and said something to her, and they started kind of fighting.
Okay. So what did you do?
I told him to shut up.
Okay. So you were trying to protect your friend or look out for her?
Oh no, he was a prick to us, so yeah, I told him to shut up.
Okay. So what did he do when you told him to shut up?
Grabbed me by my face and my neck and just kind of pushed me back onto the couch.
And what did you do?
Shut up.
Okay. So you stayed quiet to stop him hurting you, doing anything else?
I don't know. Yeah. I really don't get what this has to do with Joel though. Like, he wasn't even there, so I don't even know what we're talking about this for.
I guess I'm worried because, you know, I hear that you were getting hurt last night and that stopped you getting home, and and Joel was at home alone worrying about you getting hurt. And you were hurt, Emma. I guess, you know, Joel doesn't want to lose you.
Oh, he hasn't left me. He hasn't lost me. You know, I'm home now. I just want him to come home. I'm a good mum.
Mm-hmm. And Joel's safety means the world to you.
Yep.
And I think your safety means the world to Joel as well.
He doesn't need to worry about me.
I'm wondering what your safety and Joel's safety means to Ray.
Ray's a good dad. Ray's a good dad. He's a good dad to Joel.
So there's times when Joel really enjoys his dad and feels safe with Dad.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, of course.
I guess I'm worried about the times that he doesn't feel safe and you don't feel safe. Emma, it's really important. I'd like us to work together to get Joel home again. There's a few things that I'm worried about, that I've heard that I'm worried about, that I'd like us to talk more about. Is it okay if I share that with you?
Yeah.
I'm really worried about Ray hurting you. I'm worried that Joel was left alone because Ray hurt you. I'm worried about what Joel sees and hears sometimes at home. And I'd like to know more about, you know, I'm wondering how, like, the drinking sort of fits in with how you look after Joel, you and Ray look after Joel as well. So there's some of the things I'm worried about, and it's really important for me to talk to Ray today as well. Mm. And I'm wondering what you think about that.
Well, I don't want to be there.
Uh-huh. Where would you like to be when that happens?
I don't know, I'll go to Sal's place.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think the other thing that's really important is for you and Joel, for you to see Joel today. It's really important for Joel to know that you're okay. And it's important for you to see him. So I wonder how you feel if we give your mother a call and ask her if it's okay if we come over and do that now, today. How does that sound?
Sue, where would you like to take that conversation? Is there anything you want to say?
I guess, yeah, I'd really, I think what's really important when we're talking to parents, particularly for the first time, is not to get caught up with the writing and taking down everything, documenting everything we hear, but to just really listen and reflect back what we're hearing and show some empathy, show that we understand what's going on for them and show some empathy. I think I'd want to work, continue to build some trust with Emma and hopefully with Ray so that we can work together towards what needs to change for Joel to feel safe at home again.
And I think picking up what Tammy was saying before, I hope you don't mind, Tammy, but in terms of the conversations moving forward about change, that those conversations about change, about violence really need to happen with Ray, and that the conversations with Emma would be about understanding a little bit more about the context of why she's using alcohol and what change might need to look like there, but really about centering her and Joel together in terms of how they can be safe together from Ray. What we often can see is in case planning, women being brought into the case planning and change conversations around violence when in fact the woman doesn't have control in that situation.
Yeah. And maybe exploring some more of those, like acts of resistance. We heard some that, you know, Emma's already, like, she was actually leaving Joel at home because she was scared that he'd be hurt in the car with Ray. And maybe some of Joel's acts of resistance as well.
I just wanted to say that I really like the questioning around finding out about her acts of resistance. Yeah, so, yeah, digging into that, why she actually left him at home.
And I don't think we do that enough. We don't sort of reframe some of that stuff around how they're actually trying to keep kids safe.
Yeah, so we go to that whole, she left him at home, and explore that. We just add another layer to, we've got neglect now as well, we've got supervisory neglect, as opposed to she left him at home to keep him safe.
And I think without that curiosity, we might not have actually revealed that there's some violence happening from Ray, that we might have made an assumption because she was taken in, because she was intoxicated, that we might have just assumed that they were going out to score or something like that, and may not have actually understood the context of that decision.
So what you saw was a beautiful bit of it's in the frameworks, what we call dignity-driven practice, borrowed from the response-based practice model of therapeutic model of Canada. So that, so if it's new to people, don't worry, it's coming your way. We're really hot on this at the moment because of that, particularly for women living with violence, that ability to look at resistance and looks at acts of resistance, because we know that helps give people their dignity or restore dignity, rather than just seeing her as a victim of someone who was powerless and affected by what happened. What we're saying is looking at her as a survivor.
I just wanted to say that I really like the questioning around finding out about her acts of resistance. Yeah, so, yeah, digging into that, why she actually left him at home.
And I don't think we do that enough. We don't sort of reframe some of that stuff around how they're actually trying to keep kids safe.
Yeah, so we go to that whole, she left him at home, and explore that. We just add another layer to, we've got neglect now as well, we've got supervisory neglect, as opposed to she left him at home to keep him safe.
And I think without that curiosity, we might not have actually revealed that there's some violence happening from Ray, that we might have made an assumption because she was taken in, because she was intoxicated, that we might have just assumed that they were going out to score or something like that, and may not have actually understood the context of that decision.
So what you saw was a beautiful bit of it's in the frameworks, what we call dignity-driven practice, borrowed from the response-based practice model of therapeutic model of Canada. So that, so if it's new to people, don't worry, it's coming your way. We're really hot on this at the moment because of that, particularly for women living with violence, that ability to look at resistance and looks at acts of resistance, because we know that helps give people their dignity or restore dignity, rather than just seeing her as a victim of someone who was powerless and affected by what happened. What we're saying is looking at her as a survivor.